Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back into the Hatch Toyota Friday Night Football Show, and welcome to season number, I think, 33, our 33rd season. Might even be 34. I'll have to go back to the archives. It's been a while, and we're back again, back and ready to roll here in another season in Northeast Arizona, bringing you the very best coverage of high school football. It's the Hatch Toyota Friday Night Football Show. My name is Floyd Simmons, and as we get set to get rolling with another season, we've got one game on the schedule this Friday night, and that's the one we're going to cover. We're going to travel a long way. Monument Valley is the site of our Game 1 broadcast here in the 2024 season. The Blue Ridge Yellow Jackets will be at the Monument Valley Mustangs, and they're in year 3 of home and home with the Monument Valley Mustangs. We'll be there to give you all the action on Friday nights leading into that, the Friday Night Football Show, and we welcome you in, everybody. Well, it's a privilege for us to welcome in our very first guest to join us, coach guest to join us here in the season. And he's not just the first guest to join us this year, it's also his first season coaching as the head coach of the Sholo Cougars, with some experience under the previous head coach, Carlo Hernandez. Guy right here ran the offense for a while and is very familiar with the personnel, with the team, with the school, of course, and with all that is Cougar football. Let's welcome in the brand new head coach, Michael Boyce, joining us on the Friday Night Football Show.
Thank you, Floyd. Thanks for having me.
Coach Boyce, it's great to have you with us, and congratulations on the job. I know it's something that has been a goal of yours for a very long time. You're a Sholo Cougar from way back.
Yes,
from way back. You, your family, I know your father has always been closely involved, Sholo Block, and all the things that they have done in the past to serve the community and serve the school district. You're a guy that knows a lot about the Sholo Cougar system. And, what does it mean to you to be the guy at the helm?
Yeah, it's a blessing for sure, Floyd. It's something that's been a goal of mine for quite a few years now, and I made that transition and jumped over to the school system. It's just a blessing. My family, everybody, I got kids in high school and stuff, so I'm getting to watch them grow up too. I'm honored, honestly, humbled and honored.
Well, the Sholo Cougars, I think, are getting a guy who couldn't be more dedicated as a Cougar, more dedicated to the community. And it's interesting to me that they would choose to pull from within the community. The previous hire, Carlo Hernandez, with a great coaching pedigree, a great resume as a coach. He came from the outside. I thought it was necessary at the time. He worked with John Kashner, who was the athletic director for a while. A lot of changes at Sholo High School. And again, in my opinion, a lot of changes for the good. Some things needed to be shaken up. And now there is this return to some familiarity, let's just put it that way. And you get a chance to take over. Tell me your thoughts on the status of the Sholo Cougar athletic program at large and the football program in particular.
Yeah, I think you said it right there. It was necessary to bring someone in a couple years ago with Carlo, and he was great. He got us kind of trending in the right direction. So we just got to keep the train on the tracks that he kind of started, and we're doing that. I think right now the Sholo Cougars are kind of making their way back, right? We're rebuilding the culture right now, which it's not always easy, but people are buying in, and that's, every sport. I think girls basketball kind of started it for us, right? They've been successful and seen what they're doing, and they're all about family and doing the right things on and off the court, and everyone else has kind of adapted that philosophy, and it's starting to catch wind, and it's picking up big over there.
Coach Boyce, I know you played with the 2006 Sholo Cougars, a team that was this close to getting to a state championship game, lost in the semifinals on a heartbreaker, very close game. That was a great, very talented team back then. And at the time, the interim head coach for that season was Danny Hawkins, followed up with Randy Reisdorf in the years that he spent, and he brought a couple of state championships to the Sholo Cougars. If you precede that, go back before that, a number of different coaches, including the 2003 state championship coach, Jeremy Hathcock, who was at Blue Ridge last year. We all know Coach Hathcock. A lot of familiarity in there, but you've been through the programs. You've coached with other coaches. Are there some coaches that you look back on, Sholo coaches, maybe other coaches from around the region, that you look at as mentors, and that maybe you've taken some things from them? Maybe you've learned and you've spent some time getting familiar with what they've done, and you've tried to incorporate maybe some of the best of the best. Who do you look back on with, as mentors to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think any good coach will take good from other coaches, right? And Hathcock was definitely, I was a sophomore on that 03 team and didn't play a lot, but he didn't treat us any different, and he's definitely one of the mentors. Hawkins, had a chance to coach with him. He's awesome, and everything he's done and taught me, you take a little bit of good from every coach, and I think if you can put it all together and apply it, then you're doing your job. So.
We are talking with head coach Michael Boyce, the brand new head coach of the Show Low Cougars. And coach, the cupboard's not bare. You've got a lot of numbers, maybe record numbers in the turnout this year in the Show Low program. You can tell us about that. But one thing's for sure, you're going to miss some great seniors off of last year's team. It's kind of a rebuilding moment for the Show Low Cougars. It sounds to me like you've got a lot of good parts to rebuild with, but let's talk about that for a moment. Let's talk about the challenges that lie in front of you, and of course, the loss of players like Nash Brewer. I mean, he's just irreplaceable, if you ask me. Such a great athlete, such a good football player. He was one of many seniors that graduated off last year's team.
Yeah, it's you said it best there. You can't replace a Nash Brewer or Decker last year, and Pena, right? A guy that went from guard to quarterback, back to guard. Just you can't replace those guys, Judd. So it's a challenge, but again, we are young. It's a rebuilding year. The numbers are. We've had, again, we don't know how to check this, but we're thinking it's a record. We have 109 athletes in the total program right now, which is the first time in a while we've had a freshman, JV, and varsity team, which is big, but we're young, and that's a lot said right there. We got a lot of learning to do, a lot of growing to do, and there's going to be some growing pains, but we're ready for it.
What do you think has led to the turnout? So many kids wanting to play football in the Show Low program.
Again, I think it's the culture that we're building. It's a winning culture. It's, us trying to do better. We're definitely focused on character, over wins first, and that's something we preached all through spring ball and our camps. And again, I credit a lot of that to girls basketball for kind of starting it the last couple of years, and we're just jumping on that trailer and keeping it going. So it's the culture that's being built, I believe.
The community rallied behind the program in the offseason, and you have been graced and blessed with a brand new playing surface at Show Low High School. It's been a long time in coming. The crown on the old field was epic.
Yeah.
It was epic. If you stood on one side of the field, even at 6 foot tall, you might have a guy's entire bottom half of his body cut off on the other side. That crown was so pronounced. And that has been shaved and leveled mostly. I know you've dealt with drainage, and you got the new playing surface. So tell us what Cougar Stadium is going to be like this year.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and it is. It's the community buy-in we got with that. We had Perkins Cinders and Tim's Landscaping, Show Low Ford, all them come together and really make that happen, getting the field done. We had guys like Kenny Garvin, KGJ Roofing, and Jacob Lettner with LD&B Construction come in and redo our field house, and a lot of this was donations and things that they're just willing to do and help the program, and it's been a blessing. I mean, it really has. That crown was one of those things where you weren't lying when you said you had to run uphill both ways, right? I mean, that was
when you went in motion from one side of the field to the other side of the field, it was like climbing a mountain, coming back down on the other side. Yes, Michael Boyce is the head coach of the Show Low Cougars, joining us on the Hatch Toyota Friday Night Football Show, kicking off another football season. 3+ decades of our privilege of doing this. We've been around a long time. Michael, your younger days, your days as a player, maybe as a kid, the Friday Night Football Show, we were ubiquitous, always there. Do you have any thoughts, any memories looking back? And the Friday Night Football Show, was it something that you were always kind of aspiring to? Oh,
absolutely. And especially my years kind of, out of the school. I went and worked for the city for quite a few years. So you guys were definitely like the keeping me in the loop. You guys have always been something that's on in our house Friday nights. And yeah, definitely. I mean, as far back as I can remember, you guys have been the Friday night go-to. So date nights or the Sports Zone radio shows. So.
Yeah. Take your wife on a date, tune in the radio.
There you go.
And tune in some football. Getting back to, the matter at hand, which is the kickoff to a new season. The Show Low Cougars are ready to go. And I look at your schedule. Coach, I don't know what it is about Show Low. I don't know what it is about the Cougar program. Every year I look at your schedule, and it's one of the toughest, if not the toughest in the state. There have been times it's absolutely been the toughest schedule that anybody plays, and you've got another tough one this year, which begins with Push Ridge coming up next Friday. Next Friday, you get them at home. We'll broadcast that game here at Sports Zone Radio. Can't wait for it. You got Push Ridge. Wilcox follows that. Wilcox has been very, very good at the 2A level of late. They do have new coaching there because, guess what? their coach, well, he's made his way up here to the White Mountains. He's now the Blue Ridge head coach, and we'll visit with him later on. That's Coach Halmerson. You follow that up with a home date versus Snowflake. Paradise Honors, who was so good last year, got to the state championship game. They're coming up, or rather, you'll be at their place coming up in September. Round Valley, always tough. Thatcher is one of the highest and more highly regarded teams in 3A. I saw somebody ranking them number 2 preseason going in. They're going to be very good. And it goes on from there. Tough schedule for you guys.
Yeah, and right now we're really just focused on game 1. We're not looking ahead to that. We know it's tough. We know it's going to be, again, the growing pains are going to be there, but we're just trying to put everything together for game 1 and then put on a show. I feel like we're going to have a big crowd with the support we have from the community. So, we're really looking forward to coming out August 30th and just putting on a show that day. So,
what do you know about the Push Ridge Lions, your first opponent next Friday?
Yeah, they're tough. I mean, they were last year, right? We were up 21-0 at half, and they came back and beat us. They're tough. They're not going to give up. They're going to be good, right? It's not going to be a game we're going to go in and they're going to hand to us. So we're going to have to be playing some really good ball to get out of that one, and we're looking forward to putting on a show.
Head coach Michael Boyce of the Show Low Cougars with us on the Hatch Toyota Friday Night Football Show. Open up the season next Friday against the Push Ridge Lions. That's going to be a home game for the Cougars, and a tough way to begin the season. Push Ridge was very good last year. Lost to Blue Ridge in the first round of the playoffs in a close and a tough game, but they did well. They beat some very good quality competition last year. And like everybody, they've lost some key players. They'll bring some guys back and try to rebuild that team, and they're going to be tough. Speaking of rebuilding and speaking of the pieces that are going to matter, let's talk about your roster a bit. Okay. Give us some names of people that we need to make sure that we circle on that roster that we're going to be seeing on Friday nights that need to make big contributions for your team to succeed.
Oh, well, if you got some time, we got 54 of them that I think are going to be contributing, Floyd. Okay. I don't think we have that one guy, and I think that's a lot different than where we've kind of been the last couple of years. We're going to be rotating a lot. We're, like I said, we're young, but we're deep at every position, so we're just hoping to get everybody in. I don't think we're going to have one guy touching the ball 20 times a game, which, I hope and benefits us, and that's kind of the game plan now. Is we got a lot of guys that were hurt last year that are still trying to get back, like Jet Walker and Cameron Hernandez. So just guys like that, getting them back on the field and getting the feel for the game again is going to be huge. So,
well, what is Jet's status? How close is he to 100%?
I would say he's about 80%. I would put about an 80% on him. He's been doing all the workouts. He hasn't really been restrained throughout the summer and stuff, but he's still got that little hitch when he walks, and you can tell he's uncomfortable at times. But I'd put him at about 80%. And again, this year we got a little bit more depth there, so we're not going to just put the load on him and expect him to carry us, but he'll definitely be a contributing factor to victories. Coach,
introduce us to your coaching staff. Who are the key guys in particular? Coordinators, guys that are going to make the contribution you need from the coaching angle?
Yeah, so we made a big hire. We got Coach Rivera. He was up at Blue Ridge the last couple of years. He did a great job Rivera, up there. Yep. Yeah. He's done a great job. His dad was a part of our program when I was in school and stuff, so just keeping that tradition around has been awesome. Gavin Clark, Coach Clark, is our defensive coordinator. He's a graduate from Sholo as well, state champion. Larry King's helping out on the defensive side of the ball. We got Guy Hatch, who's helping out with receivers and offense, and then Colby Maxwell has been the Maxwell name at Sholo is pretty well tied. So he's been awesome too. He's smart and he knows his stuff. So we're just putting it all together now.
It's the Hatch Toyota Friday Night Football Show. I'm Floyd Simmons. You can see the guy over there on the screen as well with us is Derek Simmons, and Derek is kind of putting the show together for us. But I know, Derek, you have questions as well for Coach Boyce. You'd like to get inside his head as the football season begins here, son.
Yeah, let me turn my microphone on, Coach. Good to have you here with us. For me, there's one name. He's one of my favorite players in a long time around here on the mountain. I want to know a little more about Cody York-Smith.
Chris
York-Smith.
Chris York-Smith. Yeah, no, tough kid. Super tough, super motivated. I think he really turned the corner last year. He got thrown in as a sophomore and had to grow up a lot. So going into his junior year now, he's a little more confident. He's put on some muscle, and we're expecting big things from Chris. So,
the quarterback position, Coach. Again, with Nash Brewer vacating that position, you got to find somebody that's going to get the job done. And last year, you turned to a very young player. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, had to pull him off the couch.
Yeah.
Early on in the season to have that guy ready and available and to run your offense. So let's talk about the quarterback spot.
Yeah, I feel like we've had a quarterback competition all summer, and we're still in one. We won't really know who's starting that game probably till the day before. We got Cash Perkins, he was thrown to the Lions last year. He was a sophomore, took a year off of football and had to go in there and did some really good things. And we got Mason Luchtel, who's going to be a senior. He's more than capable of doing it, and Zayden Barker as well. We got a young quarterback in Ben Frund, who we're kind of looking at as a future too. So we've got the guys to do it. It's just going to be who wants the job, who wants to take it. So
all right, got it. This is head coach Michael Boyce. First season at the helm with the Show Low Cougars, a lot of expectations. Michael, you got a lot of pressure on you. Show Low fans they're not here for anything but a title. All right, and they're going to hold you to that this year. You can expect it. You've got a very tough schedule coming up. You got Snowflake on the way. That's always a tough game. No matter who gets to play Snowflake, it's going to be a big challenge for them. They're doing so well now at the 4A level. We'll talk to their head coach in a little bit as well. Kay Solomon's going to join us on our inaugural Friday Night Football show here for the season. But as you look ahead to that schedule, I know you don't want to look past anybody, look past the games. You've already kind of made that clear. But I still have to dig in and ask you about the difficulty of the schedule. And what do you think it does for your team if you can get the success you want, you stay healthy, your guys get battle tested? What does that do for the Cougars?
Again, with how young we are, every victory we get out of this tough schedule, right, as many as we can, is going to be something that they build on, and they're going to be more confident, and we're going to grow from. You said it, Snowflake. That's going to be our freedom game, and they've been successful, right? They're doing the right things over there, and we're definitely trying to catch up there. And they've been tough, and they're going to be tough this year. There's no doubt about it. So, just getting through one game at a time. If we can get through, like you said, healthy and play the way we need to be playing ball and doing it the way we're wanting to do it now with the new culture in place, I think we keep growing and these young guys become young men by the end of the season. That's the goal.
Well, Coach, before I let you go, there's one more question I want to ask you, one more subject I want to broach here with you, and it has to do with an emphasis on sportsmanship. And I think this is a long time in coming, and that is that a direct appeal from the team, from the school district, from the administration to fans. And this doesn't just mean Show Low fans, although Show Low is taking kind of a lead in this role here. Fans everywhere need a little reminder from time to time what they're doing, where they're at, what's going on. As a parent, with kids who've played in programs, I've had 4 kids play in varsity programs here in the White Mountains. And, I know that emotionally at times it can be tough. It can be difficult for a fan to sit on their hands when they watch what's going on out there on the court or on the field. They may not agree with the coaches. They may not agree with playing time and those kinds of decisions. Now, one thing that always needs to be kept in mind, and parents seem to forget, is they're not there at practice. Right. They're not there to see the effort. They're not there to see the lack of effort sometimes that happens. They're not there to see if this kid is working harder, working more to deserve playing time than maybe their kid is. That's all stuff that we're insulated from, and our kids come home, and sometimes, sometimes if the kid comes home and he's got a complaint, guess what? Parents, I think, tend to do the wrong thing in that, which is to redirect their mind, get back to a team-oriented thing. I always, when my kids would complain, and I think Derek could tell you this, I just wasn't that interested. Right. I'm not interested in hearing the complaints about the coach. You know what I'm saying? I want you're my son. I want you to go out there and be the hardest working guy in practice. And if you are, you're probably going to somewhere along the line get some reasonable playing time. Right. If you're not, you're going to get what's coming to you anyway. So can we talk for a moment about the emphasis on sportsmanship and the appeal that you make to fans?
Yeah, I mean, I learned a nice trick from Carlo Hernandez, right? Coach Hernandez is anytime we did have anything like that, he'd call the parent and the player in at the same time. And that's kind of a good way because, they're probably not hearing the same thing. Luckily, with the culture change, we've we've been preaching that with how deep we are this year. We're not dealing with a whole lot of that, but it is important, right? We don't have a lot of refs here, and, the ones that are out there are doing the best they can. So, not yelling at them or the coaches or the players. I mean, these are high school kids going out doing the best they can, right? It's not easy to be a high school athlete these days. So, it's definitely important. I think the AIA is doing a good thing with some of these new rules, and they're a little bit more strict. You get kicked out of a game, it's 2 games no matter what, and things like that. And that's going to help definitely, but it's going to come down to each team and kind of the way they're building their culture, making sure that everyone's bought into that.
Coach, have you ever made a mistake?
Never. Yeah, I've made a few.
Made a few,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Have your players ever
Yeah,
made a mistake?
absolutely.
Right? The officials. Are the officials going to make a mistake once in a while?
Every game they're going to have a couple.
Kind of every game, right?
Yeah.
Scorekeeper. How about the guy up there on the buttons? You
Yep.
know, running the clock.
I wouldn't want to do it.
Going to make a mistake once in a while, right? I can speak for broadcasters all across the land. We make mistakes every time we open our mouths, every time we crack a microphone or push a button or whatever. Mistakes are going to happen. Everybody's making mistakes.
Right.
And, you know, I just can't really look at a moment when I thought an official, I've been doing this for 30-something years, the officials don't lose games for teams. Even if a bad call is made on the last play of the game, somebody scores a touchdown or you can't prevent the touchdown or something, but an official makes a call that everybody in the stands can see. That's just blatantly a bad call. It happens.
Yeah.
But you know, you had something like 48 minutes of football preceding that to do something, to clean up your own game, to execute. And you know, what about all the mistakes that were made in the lead up to that very moment? So I just think that officials deserve a lot better shake than we give them a lot of times as fans. And I urge fans to just do that, to just remember that they're human. Remember they're making mistakes. Your coaches are making mistakes. Your kid, that football player, is making mistakes. And the longer they're on the field, the more mistakes they're probably making. Right? Missed tackles, missed block, missed assignment, missed the snap count, whatever it is. It's just going to happen. So let's just let the game play out. Let's cheer for our kids. Let's be good sports to the other side. Let's have a great experience. I mean, it's not that hard.
No, it's not. I mean, it sounds a lot easier just saying it. But yeah, I agree with you, and I couldn't agree with you more, Floyd. It's something that everyone needs to work on, and I do feel like, you know, with AI doing what they're doing, we're hopefully going to see a trend in the right direction this year with that. So I have daughters that play too, and you've probably heard me at basketball games, right? And maybe that's where some of my mistakes were made. But it's definitely something that everyone needs to work on a little bit. Yeah,
it's a growing process.
It is.
And we could all stand to grow a little bit more. Hey, by the way, your daughters, great athletes.
Yeah.
Flag football?
They would love to. They would absolutely love to. So when that opportunity presents itself, I'm sure they'll
No flag
jump in.
football at Sholo this year?
Not right now. Yeah, it's not there yet. They tried it, and they're still working on it. So if it presents itself, I know they'd love to be in on it. So
I think there's 102 teams participating in girls flag football this season in Arizona. So
hoping it comes.
It's taken off.
Yeah.
All right, Michael Boyce, head coach of the Sholo Cougars. Everybody, thanks for joining us right here on the Friday Night Football Show. We'll grab a timeout. Look for other videos. When you're done with this one. We'll be talking with head coach Kay Solomon of Snowflake, and we'll be talking with Coach Halmerson as well, the Blue Ridge Yellow Jackets. And we get this season kicked off in a big way. Don't forget, Friday night we'll be at Monument Valley, Blue Ridge at Monument Valley as we kick off our play-by-play coverage. That's a 6 o'clock local start time. That'll be 7 o'clock up on the reservation with daylight savings time. So remember, here in the White Mountains, our coverage on radio and on the Sports Zone Radio YouTube and Facebook channels will kick off and get underway at 6 p.m. local time in the White Mountains. Thanks, Coach, for being with us.
No, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you.
Michael Boyce right there, Derek Simmons, Floyd Simmons here. This is the Hatch Toyota Friday Night Football Show.